Today, I want to ask the question that I believe nobody in the red pill camp, nor anyone in the traditional conservative camp, has seemed to have an answer to. If the red pill camp's data is accurate, which I believe that it is, then why are all the solutions so hopeless? And if the traditional conservative loves marriage so much, then why are they constantly ignoring the real problems as if we're living in the 1950s? Could the solution be a covenantal, fault-based prenup that restores a biblical marriage in a no-fault divorce culture? Let's get into it. Does the red pill point out real problems? Yes, absolutely. The divorce rates have risen. Family court often sides with women. There is a true bias there in many states. There is a complete imbalance in the dating scene, due to feminism. There is a cultural bias in the incentives given for divorce rather than making it an equal thing. So absolutely, there is real data. It's not imaginary. But the problem that I have is, what is the solution? The solution essentially is basically give up. That it's just not worth it. Because we have a society that is completely hedonistic, the answer essentially is to become more hedonistic yourself. Why should I enter into a marriage where my money is put at stake? I should just make more money. It's not worth the risk. But the Bible says it is good, or it is not good, that man should be alone in Genesis. And in Proverbs it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. So the problem is not that the data is inaccurate. The problem is that the answer is to become a cynic. Now let's flip it. The traditional conservative, especially the Christian conservative, says, trust God, get married, marriage is great, everything will be fine. And doesn't take into account that we live in a different culture. We're not in 1955 anymore. We have a culture of no-fault divorce. We have a culture of swipe right dating. We have a culture that has completely gone past the Christian ethic and is now in absolute, complete hedonism. You have a culture of hooking up. You have a culture that is not based on covenantal thinking. It is not based on creating a strong family value. And the Bible is clear on this. You don't jump into marriage naively. The Bible says that it is better to dwell on the corner of a rooftop than in the house with a contentious woman. So to say, don't worry about the disproportionate legal system. Don't worry about any of that. Just get married. But really, in reality, what young men should be doing is they should be more cautious. Not necessarily saying it's not even worth it, but to say, I need to be cautious on who I'm entering into a covenant with and how I'm doing it. So here's the tension. The red pill says, we need to burn this mother down. Whereas the traditional conservative says, no, everything's fine. We can get married. But really, biblically, what the Bible is saying is that things aren't good, but if they're built correctly and done wisely, marriage is a wonderful thing. The Bible views marriage as a covenant, not a contract. So really, when it comes down to it, the state's no-fault divorce laws shouldn't have to affect a Christian marriage if the solution would be a fault-based covenantal prenup. In the way that I look at it, if the couple came together and rather than agreeing on a prenup that protects assets, drew up a prenup that was more based upon biblical guidelines and adding a fault and a real consequence for breaking those vows, it could look like this. It could look like there are real consequences for adultery. There are consequences for abandonment. There are consequences for abuse, right? So why couldn't a couple come together and say, I don't agree with no-fault divorce. We don't agree with no-fault divorce. Let's add some faults into our covenantal relationship. So rather than standing in front of a church and making empty vows, you are signing a real contract that says there are consequences if I don't hold up to the covenant that I'm making with my husband or the covenant that I am making with my wife. So here's the summary. Red pill has real data but offers no solutions. Trad cons have a real high view of marriage but ignore the data and say jump in without taking wisdom. But I would say that the Bible, if it was rightly applied, should be to love marriage, to have a high value of it, but to also be wise. And maybe, just maybe, the solution that brings all these together is to ignore what the state has done, take things back into your own hands, and enter into a covenantal agreement and a document that is not just lip service for the church.